Okay, so my brother said that I should just go ahead and talk about the other characters that I wanted to talk about in the movie Wicked without writing down all my thoughts, getting organized, and sounding so scripted like I did in the last video because I wanted it to be succinct. So here goes. And I decided I'm just going to do this now. So I'm listening to my brother. He's so wise. You should go follow him. I think his YouTube channel is Triggered Yogi. Anyway, he's the best. I'll tag it here. So first I need to preface this by saying I have not read the book. I did not watch Wizard of Oz again. I'm going to be discussing these points through a vague memory of the Wizard of Oz. And I haven't been a big Wizard of Oz, Wicked franchise fan. I literally just watched the new movie screen adaptation of Wicked yesterday, and I have quite a few thoughts about what I saw. So we're gonna get started with the Munchkins. The Munchkins, they represent like the society as a whole. As far as digesting information, they kind of just take the low-hanging fruit. These guys are just your regular people. I mean, a lot of us want to be Elphaba in this movie because she's kind of like the unseen hero, or she's the hero anyway, but we're not probably Elphaba. Most of us are probably the Munchkins. We are just trying to live our life. We're trying to go to school, we're trying to work, we're trying to pay our bills, we're trying to raise our kids, we're trying to save money or not save money, whatever we're trying to do. We just trying to grow our food. We're just trying to grow our food, trade our food. We try to survive out here in these mean streets. We really don't understand what's going on out here in this big wide world, but we just need safety. So that's how I see the Munchkins. They take the low-hanging fruit because they are just trying to live. They're just trying to find safety. And the easiest way for them to find emotional safety is just believing what they hear. If it makes sense to them and it creates a sense of safety and well-being for them, they're going to run with it. Of course, we can look at that negatively, like how it's played out in the movies, how they want us to see ourselves just going with the crowd, lacking the courage to explore what's really going on, lacking the courage to speak up for things when they're wrong, easily pointing out something that's different and making fun of that, running with the whole common enemy thing. Like, there's a lot of negatives in being a Munchkin, and I think that's what we're supposed to see so that we can challenge ourselves to be a little bit better. But the cool thing is, in this movie Wicked, in the beginning, if you recall, there are two young Munchkins who did something a little different than what we do see when it, goes back to the past. So we had one young girl who says, well, how did the Wicked Witch become wicked? She's inquisitive. She wants to know. She's challenging the narrative because she wants to kind of understand what happened before what you're telling me happened. And then we had another one who said, weren't you guys friends? She's looking for a deeper truth. She wants to understand the relationship. So we're starting to see where the Munchkins are asking questions. They're looking for the truth behind the narrative or the story. They want to form their own opinion based on having more information than the people who are controlling the narrative are giving. I kind of see this as like what's happening now with our younger generations and what we've been seeing recently with just the younger people wanting to know more. Next, I'm going to talk about the Prince Fiyero. Mind you, I don't know what happens next. This could be a spoiler. It could not be a spoiler. I'm just assuming based on what I saw in the vague memory that I have of Wizard of Oz. And I also have to say, before I made this video, I went back and watched Wicked again 3 more times. At least I thought I watched it 3 more times, and I realized that I never actually watched it all the way through. That movie is insanely long. Why are they making movies so long these days? But anyway, my ADHD would not let me sit and pay attention to the whole movie. Like, I think my brain turns off and I just totally zone out because I've watched it 4 times now since yesterday, and every single time I watch it, I notice another part that I don't remember seeing before. So if you're like, duh, this isn't an insight, they literally said this in the movie, I missed it, okay? So this is my insight. I believe that the Prince Fiyero ends up becoming the Cowardly Lion. I'm not sure if Elphaba, I think Elphaba probably turns him into the lion, because it seems like in the movie that she is aware that he has more emotional maturity than he lets on. And it seems like he's just pretending to be shallow so that he could be accepted and fit in and live in the status quo and not get all worked up and upset and cause all this emotional turmoil for him. Being shallow for him is emotional safety. So once again here, we're just finding that the characters in this movie are just regular people trying to be safe. And that's a core need that we all have as human beings, is safety. Like, that's the first thing, safety. So can we really blame people for finding safety the way they need to find safety, especially if they're not causing any direct harm to anyone else? Now, we have a whole other conversation about indirect harm, but right now we just gonna stick on the direct harm. So I do think that he's probably gonna be the Cowardly Lion. I think we can all kind of relate to this though, because many of us fear standing apart from our peers, even though we know that we're understanding something that's going on a much deeper level. We're kind of afraid to say it because we don't want to be standing apart or seem like we're crazy or doing too much. All right. Dr. Dillamond, or the goat professor, I might be saying the name wrong, but the professor that's a goat. How ironic. In my last video, I just talked about scapegoating. And we have this professor who is in the form of a goat talking about the whole idea of the scapegoat, finding the common enemy, finding somebody to blame for the problems, the flying monkeys. The idea that it was actually, or how this movie depicts that it was actually the wizard who created the flying monkeys, the person with no power who's trying to look like he has power by ciphering other people's power or using all these manipulative tactics like the noise and the glitz and the glam and all this stuff, when he really has no power, also wants to create spies that go and do his bidding or plant rumors. Or that's what, in the psychological community of studying narcissistic behaviors, you call those flying monkeys. If you guys already got this and I'm just like, girl, and you're just like, girl, catch up. Okay. Just let me have it. Let me be here. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about the Munchkin, Mr. Woodman. This is the guy that took Nessa on the date to the dance. And he talks about how he has all this emotion. I suspect that he's going to be turned into the Tin Man, because he talks about how he has all this emotion, but he doesn't really express his emotion. He's just full of it. And he kind of uses these indirect ways to say what he wants to say. He doesn't actually come out and tell Glinda directly that he has a crush on her. He's doing all this little stuff like save me a dance and blah, blah, blah. He's very indirect, and he's bottling up all these emotions that he has, which he has a lot, but he's not very direct with it. He has an inability to express his feelings openly and afraid to take risks and be vulnerable. Is how many of us can see a little bit of this character in ourselves, where we have this fear of rejection. So we kind of just bottle up our emotions and we're afraid to take risks and really ask for what we really want or share what we're really feeling about something. The manipulative teacher. The teacher who's teaching Elphaba magic. We all know someone like this. This is that person who sees your power before you even see it. Or maybe you know you have power, but you don't know how to use it. But this person, they could spot exactly how it could be used for them, for their cause. And they present themselves as wanting to be your friend, wanting to help you, wanting to guide you, wanting to mentor you, whatever the case may be. However, the whole time they are plotting to manipulate you and use your skills for their good. Come on, like at work, bold enough to even say, I just want you to sit in the background, but I'm going to keep using all your ideas and taking credit for it. Like literally, I think it was the Wiz or the teacher who literally said this towards the end to Elphaba. They be bold as heck with this. These characters in Wicked are really I really believe like all of us have a little piece of all of these characters. Well, not all of them, because not all of us are going to be the manipulative teacher, the crazy Oz of flying monkeys. I take that back. But many of us can see how we can have some of these complex behaviors, feelings, and emotions that we see on the screen. And at the bottom line, a lot of these people and the bottom line is a lot of the characters in the movie are really, they're just finding their way the best way they know how. They're trying to be safe. They're trying not to put themselves in danger. Maybe it's a lack of courage. It also sheds light on sometimes things that we may not understand or necessarily agree with. The way people show up in the world is just them trying to find safety in a chaotic, confusing world. Ask yourself, which of these characters can you really identify with? And challenge yourself to even look at the characters that you think you should dislike or hate. And look for ways that maybe you can identify with their motivations and how they're showing up the way they are too. I think by looking at these things, especially the things that we really don't want to look at, or the things that we think we don't like or that disgust us, and then asking ourselves, one, why don't we like it? And two, why could that person or behavior be manifesting that way? How is it benefiting that person? And how could it possibly be benefiting them? Then we can kind of look at when we behave in these ways that we don't like within ourselves. Why were we really trying to do that? That's how we can really identify some of our maladaptive behaviors and learn how to be more adaptive in this crazy, chaotic world. And it also helps us learn how to have more empathy for other people and show compassion in areas where we may have a hard time showing compassion for people. I also wanted to add here that by doing this, we can also learn to have some self-compassion. When we watch some of these movies and we start to learn how to see ourselves in others, even when we see ourselves in characters we don't like, we learn to have compassion for our own behaviors. It can help us see why we do the things we do sometimes, and it helps us grow. I think a lot of these movies are really powerful because they show us ourselves in very non-threatening ways. So I would love to hear your thoughts, what you think about my takeaways, if I was just too obvious in some areas, and if you got spoilers for me. Was I right on what might happen? Tell me that too. I'm good with learning that too. I'm not going to do my research and look ahead, so you could tell me in the comments. All right, until next time, bye.